Hello, everybody. It's Cap Corgi. I wanted to talk about this. I'm actually, doing a lot of stuff, taking care of my dad and stuff, so I wasn't able to hit this exactly when it happened. But I've been mulling over it. This was actually released a few hours ago. This is an absolutely wild statement, but I want you to know it's a good thing. Yes, this is about the Video Games Europe statement as a response to Stop Killing Games and the movement to Stop Killing Games. And we're going to dive on in. We're going to give it... there is a long statement. I've not been able to find the long statement. I know I've seen it some other places. It's like a 5-page one, but this is at least the top site. And at least, like, the basic information. And so we can actually respond to this already. So let's get into it, guys, because this is an insane, insane situation. First of all, I want to assure you, this is a good thing. Because if anyone ever had any doubts about the StopKillingGames.com movement, those doubts are dashed. The only reason a conglomerate as large and as powerful as the Video Games Europe lobbyist group, the only reason that they would fight back against this movement is because they are fucking scared. So this is very, very good news for the Stop Killing Games movement. This means that they are shaking in their boots. So we'll go over the statement, but at first I wanted to go over who's making the statement. Because, as you can see, this is a little bit of a picture of a list of all the companies as part of this lobbyist group. And this is like a who's who of the worst fucking companies in gaming, by the way. It is absolutely amazing. We got Embracer Group, one of the worst companies. They gobbled up a whole bunch of small indie companies and, mid-sized AA groups. Some of the best game makers of all time. And killed them all, pretty much. It was one of the worst groups in all of gaming. And, if you are ever wondering why we don't have another Deus Ex game, if you're ever wondering why we don't have, any number of games, it's because Embracer ate them and destroyed them. One of the worst groups in gaming. We've got EA, and you all know EA. You all know EA. One of the worst groups of, monetization, loot boxes, gambling, this, that, whatever. EA has done it all. They've seen it all. They will absolutely screw us in every single way possible. We got Activision Blizzard, the old classics, Activision Blizzard, Diablo Immortal, Call of Duty, all of those, fantastic people. We got the Microsoft, Microsoft, who absolutely shreds video game companies without warning just to make sure their line can go up. And that owns Activision Blizzard, so obviously it's not any surprise Activision Blizzard is on this list if Microsoft is. I actually don't know why they're separated. They're the ZeniMax as well is on here. This is the same company. But yeah, it's very weird that they're separated out at all because Microsoft owns all of them. But Microsoft is obviously on this list. They're a who's who of, the worst live service companies, the worst companies for attacking gamers, for attacking games, for creating, the most heavily monetized games possible. And we're not even done with the list. We got, who's that? Ubisoft. Oh my god, look at Ubisoft. Ooh, look at that. Cheeky. We got Sony, who has tried to make like 9 different live service games in the past 5 years, and 7 of them have completely abject failed. Oh my god, we got WB. WB is an amazing company that has had one success in all of gaming for like literally the past, I would say, like 7 years, and that was a single player game, Hogwarts Legacy, and everything, and that was a success despite them. And basically every single other game that they come out with has been live service garbage that has failed immediately. We have an absolutely hilarious situation with Multiverses. They tried to launch that game twice, almost 3 times, and it failed every single time. We got Epic Games, which absolutely shreds video game companies as well. Tries to do, non-consumer friendly practices, fighting against Valve and so on and so forth. We got Riot Games. The old classic Riot Games. Oh, you gotta love Riot Games, man. It's not like they don't have, their own repertoire of terrible microtransaction practices with $500 skins, with, all kinds of cheating violations in Valorant, and, God knows what else. I've covered Riot Games in great detail. We got Niantic, who makes Pokemon Go, and they've had, their major issues as well that I've covered. We got Roblox, which basically does child labor and has to fight child labor laws at some point when someone really aggresses on them because they're doing some very jank shit. We got, of course, the big boy, Nintendo. And we all know how litigious Nintendo is. ZeniMax, which I've said. We got Squeenix with FF14 and all of those. Squeenix is going through their own stuff, but, they make some live service stuff, and they don't want anyone to get in the way of them trying to make NFTs and everything, because that is something Squeenix tries to do, like, literally once every other year. It's insane how often they love to do that, and much worse. And then some of the other companies I don't know. I don't really know Video Games Poland. I don't know some of these other smaller ones. But yeah, those are the big heavy hitters. So these are the people that are against Stop Killing Games. And I don't know if you know the statement, the quotation, "Judge me by my enemies." So if you are, a supporter of Stop Killing Games, that means these fucking cucks who absolutely do the worst things in all of gaming. Literally, it's a who's who of the worst of gaming. If these are your enemies, you're in good hands. You should feel good, guys. You should feel good that you're like, you know what? If Activision Blizzard and EA and Ubisoft and ZeniMax and Nintendo and Riot Games are against me, maybe I'm doing something right. Maybe I'm doing something right. And if you're Pirate Software and you're looking at this list, Netflix Gaming, has they have their issues as well. I forgot about them. They're glaring me right in the face. I didn't even see that. And if you're Pirate Software who's looking at these companies and these are the companies, Embracer Group is on your side, dude. If I was Pirate Software and I looked at this list with any semblance of eyes being opened and, my brain being open to anything, I would be like, what the fuck am I doing? I would be looking in the mirror being like, is this who I'm supposed to be supporting? Why would I do this? And I don't think he ever will, sadly. I think that ship has sailed. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he looks at this list and, gets a little bit of a wake-up call being like, do I really want to support Sega? Who, does crazy amounts of live service dog? Do I really want to, be in cahoots with Ubisoft and Activision and EA? Literally the three worst companies in all of gaming? WB Games, who, lock mechanics behind patents? I mean, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, that would be the hope, but I don't think that'll happen. Regardless, it's judge me by my enemies, because if my enemies are these, I know I'm doing the right fucking thing. And on the board are the biggest groups as well. We got Microsoft on the board. The board is the biggest part of it. Activision on the board, Nintendo on the board, Ubisoft on the board, Take-Two Interactive, oh boy, they've done some great stuff with, the live service aspect of GTA. We got EA on the board, Epic on the board, Embracer on the board, Sony on the board, and I don't know who Cell is, I'm not sure about that. But who's not on the board? Valve. Do you know why Valve is not on the board? Because they are not a publicly traded company. And they are a company that works for the consumer. They're a company that actually gives a fuck about you playing games. All they want is for you to buy games via their dashboard, and play their games as much as you possibly can. That is all they care about. That is why the fact that they're not publicly traded is the entire reason why Valve is good and why they're consumer facing. They're not trying to work for a board of directors. They're not trying to work for shareholders. They're trying to work for us. This is by the way, Ubisoft right here. It's just so funny how As soon as something like this statement comes out this exact same day, we also get a fantastic change in the EULA of Ubisoft, where basically they very directly state that they the EULA is effective from the date you purchase until terminated according to its own terms. So you cannot terminate it. Only Ubisoft can terminate the EULA at any time for any reason. Termination by Ubisoft will be effective upon notice to you and termination of Ubisoft account or Ubisoft decision to discontinue offering the product. They will terminate automatically, and upon termination, you must uninstall your games and destroy all copies of your games. So they want to come to your house and have you destroy the games that you own, that you bought from them. This is a change in the EULA that Ubisoft made, by the way. This is the company that Pirate Software is on the side of. If you ain't with us, you're against us. This is exactly how it works with something like this. This is a very black and white issue, guys. But yeah, this is just like some really insane thing. So let's talk about the statement itself here. A statement on Stop Killing Games. We appreciate the passion of our community. However, the decision to discontinue online services is multifaceted, never taken lightly, and must be an option for companies when an online experience is no longer commercially viable. By the way, this was never the case in past. This has only been the case since game companies didn't get pushback when it first started occurring. Namely with the games like World of Warcraft and so on and so forth. The era before, essentially, World of Warcraft. It's a big demarcation line. We're talking like, EverQuest and, Warcraft 3, all of the early MMOs of the time. We're talking, Quake and PlanetSide 1 and so on and so forth. All of those games were very commercially viable and able to sustain itself and able to be, given to the community when the servers shut down on their end with basically almost no issue. Private servers everywhere and so on and so forth. So it only really became an issue for these game companies when they decided they wanted more money and more control. And basically so they could have the right to create forced obsolescence and make us buy their sequels. We understand that it might be disappointing for players, but when it does happen, the industry ensures that the players are given fair notice of prospective changes in compliance with local consumer protection laws. This is a very funny statement, by the way, a very funny sentence, because first of all, it's completely fucking incorrect. And second of all, even if it was correct, the entire point is we're trying to change the fucking laws. So let's go back to the first part of what I just said. The consumer protection laws locally, they're actually, Ubisoft is facing this problem with the crew directly, because a lot of lawyers that are pro video games and pro Stop Killing Games and so on have come out very publicly, and you can look it up on Google. I urge you to Google it, please do. And a lot of them come out very publicly and, created videos on YouTube and things like that, basically stating that Ubisoft may be in legal hot water because when they shut down the crew, they gave only 3 months notice. You're supposed to give like a year and a half, 2 years of notice, by the way. And even then, the fact that you're able to, destroy the game and destroy all of the, online presence for it and everything like that, and kind of shaft single player version of the game and stuff as well, is already in doubt. And that is exactly what we're fighting for. These are not consumer protection laws that these companies are following. These are consumer protection laws that the companies are circumventing. And what we're trying to do with Stop Killing Games is strengthen those laws so they can either, so basically we can slap our dick on the table with Stop Killing Games and any law that may come of it in the next coming year, hopefully, as we get there. And basically slap our dick on the table and say, this is how it's going to be, Ubisoft, EA, WB, all of y'all. And you either make your game to our specifications or you don't make your fucking game. But guess what, guys? Guess what? They will make their game. They will bitch, moan, and complain all the livelong day. Every single one of these live service companies But you know, in the end, every single successful live service game makes hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars for the really successful ones. And they print money. None of these companies are going to say no to that money. Do you know why? Because that's how they make their money. So they're going to adapt to the laws because they have no fucking choice. And the entire point of Stop Killing Games is to make sure they have no fucking choice. Private servers are not always a viable option for players. By the way, this is already incorrect because they are. They're very viable. We've done them for years. We've done them without, any help from the publisher. We've done them without help from any help. Without any help from, the developer in many, many cases, to great success until they're shut down by, Blizzard, for example, with the WoW Classic servers way back before they made their own. The myriad of examples of this. But yeah, and they were super viable. This was the norm before like 10, 15 years ago. The literal norm was, random people making private servers for the games that are now dead, as in officially dead. It's never been an issue before until they created their own problem and sold you the solution. And we ate it up for over a decade until now. We put in place to secure players' data, remove illegal content, and combat unsafe community content would not exist and would leave rights holders liable. By the way, this is completely wrong. We have right here an EULA. And this EULA can be written by even a non-lawyer because the statement to absolve themselves of responsibility and to make sure that the rights holders are not liable can be written by a fucking fifth grader. All you have to do is say something to the effect of, upon termination of the official servers or whatever, official support, whatever language you want to use, depending on the game and depending on the game type, the rights holder, as in, they'll have to say whatever company, Ubisoft, EA, whatever, is no longer liable for anything you see or anything on the server, period, whatsoever. That's it. That's all you have to say. That is literally all you have to say. If you go onto Turtle WoW, which is an unofficial, completely disconnected from the official WoW servers, but it's called Turtle WoW, and it is literally WoW Classic plus a whole bunch of features like roguelike mechanics and stuff. Really cool, by the way. Check it out. If you go onto, for example, that, and you see people like spamming swastikas and stuff, which you don't because it's a well-run server, but if you did, no one's going to hold Blizzard responsible for that. Do you know why? Because the rights holder is not fucking liable for anything that doesn't happen on official servers. It's never been this way. It is a complete non-issue. This is a statement just made to make someone uneducated on the subject scared. And to try to push the needle to lawmakers being like, well, corporations can't be held liable. But the thing is that I think the lawmakers are actually going to be on the StopKillingGames.com side because it's a very, very, very exceptionally simple issue to figure out. Literally, like I said, a fifth grader could write one sentence of an EULA and the rights holders would never be liable in any way, shape, or form. In fact, if you go back to EULAs, before 2015, I would say, you will probably find exactly this type of language. Now, I don't have any, 10-year-old EULAs, but if you are watching this video and you're able to find a 10-year-old EULA, do let me know in the comments below and let me know what it says because I'm genuinely interested and I'm pretty sure I would be 100% correct on this. Beyond that, in addition, many titles were designed from the ground up to be online only. In effect, these proposals would curtail developer choice by making these video games prohibitively expensive to create. This is completely untrue. Completely fucking untrue. If you try to make a game that exists right now without the off-ramps and you try to force the off-ramps onto them, as in current-day World of Warcraft, current-day League of Legends, or whatever, yes, that would be prohibitively expensive. You can't really change existing infrastructure that well. You have to do like a ground up review and this, that, whatever. And that shit can be hard. We're not asking for that though. And I think Stop Killing Games, I think Video Games Europe knows it. They just don't want to admit it. We're talking about games in the future. During the development period, they'll just have to create an off-ramp of some kind. They'll have to make it easier to give us the server binaries. They'll have to make it easier to, disengage the online component if it's, not a major part of the game. And so on and so forth. Or basically disengage the third-party licensed software that everyone is so up in arms about. If you're playing World of Warcraft and they have, Twitch services, for example, we don't fucking need that. Say World of Warcraft shuts down. We don't need the Twitch services. We're playing the game ourselves. What the fuck do we need the Twitch services for? So that's an entire section of the online services just completely not needed for anything beyond the official support. So if you, by the way, this is just an example, so much of online games and so much of the complication that people are trying to say is in online games to make games viable beyond, the official support date is because of these third-party, and not official licensed things like, music resources and this resource and that resource. Things that are not necessary for the game itself in any way, shape, or form. That's well over 50-60% of the online services for a game is all kinds of random extraneous shit that we wouldn't need in any way, shape, or form. So that's most of their work cut out for them immediately already. They have nothing to complain about. We welcome the opportunity to discuss our position with policymakers and those who have led the European Citizens Initiative in the coming months. Oh, baby, I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I'll be covering every single moment of it because these fuckers are so scared. They are shaking in their boots, man. I can hear it. I can hear the chatter of their teeth. You all should be proud. If you're supporting the StopKillingGames.com movement, you have pissed off and scared the worst members of the gaming world. And like I said, judge me by my enemies because god damn, does it feel good when the worst of gaming is the absolute, enemy that we face. I'd also like to add a few different things. These are the same people that try to make loot boxes. And they consider taking away the loot boxes, which happened, by the way, with the exact same EU board. They considered that curtailing development and curtailing creativity as well. But guess what? They adapted. You know why? Because they still want to make their money. And they're not going to give up the money because they know that this is the most viable way for them to make billions upon billions of dollars with games like Call of Duty and League of Legends and all of the above, It's interesting because one of the largest live service games is, two of them are Dota 2 and Counter-Strike and all the versions of Counter-Strike, Counter-Strike Go, Counter-Strike 2, so on and so forth. And Valve is not on this list. Valve owns those properties. Valve works those properties. Why are they not on the list? Because they know how easy it is to fucking fix and adapt. And they're not willing to take the hit with consumers just to make a few extra dollars. Whereas all of these companies are willing to take the hit. They're willing to, put their dicks on the table saying, hey, you bend to us. Problem is, they don't realize that we know the secret. We learned the secret over the past few years, where, we had to fight Sony to get back access for everyone around the world for Helldivers 2. We had to fight back against Nintendo when they tried to sue Palworld, and that's still an ongoing issue. We've had to fight back against Riot Games thousands and thousands of times now, it feels like. We had to fight back against Blizzard Activision, against Diablo Immortal, and trying to get WoW Classic servers built, and so on and so forth, officially. EA with Battlefront 2, that was all the way back in, 2017? I don't know, I could be wrong on the exact date, it was something around there. And Battlefront 2 came out, and it was one of the worst led, most horrifically pay-to-win loot box systems of all time. Guess what? That was one of the first really uniting moments for the entire online games community to fight back, put our dicks on the table, and say, you fix it or you fucking die, EA. That's it. You fix it or you die. And this is the exact same kind of choice. We've made this choice. We've forced this choice to them many, many times before. And like I said, in all of my other videos, when I first started to cover this type of stuff on YouTube, against Palworld, Riot Games, and, Helldivers 2, and so on, these companies need us far more than we need them. And they will bend, they will break, and they will capitulate every single time. Because they know the truth, and they know we know the truth. That they need us way more than we need them. Anytime, say the worst happened. Say the worst happened, and it cost or is prohibitively expensive to make League of Legends 2. First of all, that means we don't have League of Legends 2, and thank God for that. As a League of Legends player for literally since beta all the way through this day, I will happily say, if there's no League of Legends 2, thank fucking God. First of all, I would much rather get single-player awesome games than live service garbage that I end up liking as well, and, you know, they're easy to play and low brain power, which is why I play them. But the thing is, they're not good games. League of Legends is like barely a good game, and I say this as a almost 15-year-long player of League of Legends. The interesting thing is, though, we have so much choice in the video game world. I will do it again. I did it before in a previous video, but I'll do it again. You look at just look at the Steam Summer Sale, man. Look at all of the games. You can get thousands of games, thousands and thousands and thousands of games for cheap, on sale for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80%, sometimes even 90% off. We have an influx, an absolute ridiculous amount of choice. And that is if we work legally. If you work illegally, as in piracy and all that, sailing the high seas, as they say, you have even more choice. You can play games from like all the way back in the NES days with emulators and with completely, barely any issue. You know, there's entire like dialogues and forum posts and everything, video walkthroughs on how to do it in like 5 seconds flat. It's no big deal anymore. And video game companies know this. Valve knows this as well, because Valve is very, very famous for saying, as in Gavin himself, the legend, he says very, very clearly, piracy is not a problem of money. It is a problem of access and a problem of making, you know, a good experience for the user. If they don't have a good experience, or if a game is too expensive, then they try to pirate. But if they don't, and the experience is fine, 90% of people, 95, 98% of people don't pirate at all. That's why Steam is successful and literally one of the most successful companies in terms of money per employee, which is one of the most important indicators of the health of a company. And you know, Valve, I think, makes like $3 million per employee that it has or something. It's an insane level. It's an absolutely insane level. And it's made on the basis of making good experience for the user. That's it. That's literally it. It's that simple. And like I said, they're not on this list for that very, very, very reason. Beyond that, I think it's just fascinating to see that beyond anything else, their entire discussion of private servers not being viable alternative options is insane, because we are not renting a game. If you go to any Steam game, let's go to Call of Duty. Let's go to Call of Duty 6. I know that is on here. So COD 6. Call of Duty 6. What does it say you're buying? Mostly negative. I love to see that. What does it say you're buying? Does it say you're renting the game? Does it say you're renting the game for 5 years or 3 years or 4 years? No. It says you're buying the game. You're buying it for $38.49 or $70 for, you know, the normal price. You're not renting a game. You're not subscribing a game. And people who argue against Stop Killing Games try to say, oh, well, basically you are. Basically is not covered under the law. If you went to this page and it said you're renting this game until it, you know, until forced obsolescence hits it in 5 years, then, you know, Stop Killing Games wouldn't really have a leg to stand on. But they're not saying that shit at all. They're literally not saying that shit at all. It's amazing the types of problems these game companies try to make, just try to sell you a solution that they're pushing. And we're figuring it out. Every single person who has followed Stop Killing Games from the beginning, we have become pros at being able to read these, you know, consumer statements, being able to read these EOLAs. They've trained us. All of these companies have trained us to fight them. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I'll go into more detail in another video, but I wanted to give you guys a quick and dirty rundown of what's going on. It's just a fantastic situation because, you know, when people are scared, that means you're winning. And these companies are scared. We're winning, guys. We are absolutely winning. Finally, I'll leave it with a last note. People act like, you know, Nintendo, Riot Games, all these companies act like it's impossible to run online-only games away from central servers. We used to run games away from central servers all the time. And even now, if you ask any game developer, how do you make central servers? You don't start with central servers. You start with non-centralized, completely decentralized servers that you turn into central servers. So that leg is completely just not working for any of these companies in the first place. You don't have to have it via central servers. In fact, most games always run via non-central servers until you centralize the servers. That is how game development works, man. And I'm not even a game developer. I just know game developers, and they throw this knowledge out all the time. It's completely easy. Barely an inconvenience. It'll cost like fractions of a percentage of any game developer budget to make these off-ramps that we're asking for the StopKillingGames.com movement. And we're talking about games. Riot Games pours hundreds of millions of dollars making League of Legends, right? You know, Microsoft, they're talking about certain games costing $200 million. We have Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard, every Call of Duty that they make is like $300-400 million sometimes. EA just bragged about the cost of the newest Battlefield 6, 7, I don't even know what number we're on, 6 I think. Battlefield 6, whatever the next Battlefield is, that is in development right now. They just bragged that it is going to cost them $400 million to make. To make the off-ramps that we're asking for the Stop Killing Games movement, to not have forced obsolescence and stuff, it is a fucking fraction. It is a baby fraction of that cost. And they know it, and we know it. And they know we know it. And that is why we're going to win in the EU courts. That's my entire discussion. Hope you guys liked it. If you guys do, give this video a like. Give this channel a sub. Ring the bell notifications so you can get more aspects and more videos. I cover everything from indies to AAAs and everything in between, and I will always give it to you straight, man. The good in gaming and the bad in gaming. I'll showcase the fantastic indie games that no one talks about, and I will shit talk these dog shit companies for trying to hurt us gamers, as they have over the past several years constantly, and everything in between. That's my entire spiel. Hope you guys liked it, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have some great times and play some good fucking indie games. All the best.